It is estimated that about two-thirds of the world's population will live in cities by 2030, and feeding the world's urban dwellers is a mounting challenge. Experts say cities must grow more of their food wherever they can. In Baltimore, Maryland, they're doing just that. Urban blight is being transformed into a source of healthy green food, and VOA's Steve Baragona joins me right now to talk about it. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks.
Tell me something. You went down to inner Baltimore, which is like a place for crime, and a lot of stuff is going on over there. What did you find out?
It was super interesting. I found out about this just from talking to officials with the city planning department who were talking about leasing out some city-owned land to farmers. Now, not little, a lot of this, urban agriculture has become very popular these days, but a lot of it is small neighborhood gardens, community organizations, volunteer stuff. This was actually going to be a business that was going to try to make a profit, in addition to having these kind of social benefits, but they needed to make money in order to make this work. So I decided I'd go and check it out and see what it looked like. And I was really pretty amazed when they drove me to this site. We're driving past just block after block of just vacant buildings. And this is what, big chunks of Baltimore have become now that they've lost their steel industry and their port has shrunk and they've lost a lot of businesses and it's kind of left the city hollowed out. So they're trying to make the best of what they can with one thing that they have lots of, and that's abandoned land.
Okay, so why don't we check the report and then come back. Let's roll it.
Baltimore has lost about a third of its population since its post-World War II peak, leaving hollowed-out neighborhoods of boarded-up buildings and abandoned lots. But in the middle of this post-industrial wasteland, one of those lots is getting a makeover.
It was a high-crime area. This vacant lot was a haven for drug activity, but not anymore.
Farm manager William Long is from this neighborhood. He works for Big City Farms. The company was the first to sign a lease to grow food on abandoned land owned by the city. Alex Percival is its president.
We can really create jobs in the city in an industry that doesn't exist. So that's the whole meaning behind here. One, having good food. Two, having good jobs. And all these lots that are, just trash heaps right now.
Turning trash heaps into fresh food treasure troves makes a lot of sense for a city with 17,000 empty lots and 10% unemployment. Baltimore hopes to lease about 8 hectares of vacant land to urban farmers in the next 5 years, says the planning department's Abby Koch.
Decreasing the burden on us for caring for vacant property. Employing more citizens, revitalizing the local economy, drawing people into the city. I know of a few people who've moved to Baltimore to be part of the urban farming movement in Baltimore. It hits a ton of our goals.
Farming in the city hits one of Percival's main goals, too. While most produce is shipped in from across the country, Big City Farms grows its greens within 15 kilometers of the customer.
So I'm cutting it now. It's getting in your plate within 24 hours. And there's a big difference between something that was cut a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Something was cut just a couple hours ago.
That ultra-fresh flavor is great for chefs like Timothy Dyson at Bluegrass Tavern.
I had the opportunity to serve carrots that were pulled from the ground less than 2 hours ago. The flavors really pop.
Percival has shown he can grow fresh food just about anywhere. Big City's first farm sprouted on a strip of asphalt.
It's been a parking lot for, I guess, about 3 years now, but this used to be the city garage behind us.
Just a few inches of compost and a plastic liner separate the greens from the blacktop. But Big City Farms is all about growth in unexpected places. That includes its employees. Farm manager William Long spent time in prison on drug possession charges.
This community itself needs a change for the better. And me being an ex-offender myself, if they see that I can do it, maybe they would want to make a change as well.
A fresh outlook and ultra-fresh greens are changes Big City Farms hopes to bring to cities across the country.
And we're back with Steve Baragona. These urban greenhouses, they seem to be working.
It's pretty impressive. I have to say, they're growing in about this much compost on the bottom of these greenhouses. And the idea is that you can pretty much grow good, healthy food anywhere.
So it's like what? You pick up some seeds and you just dump them and things start to grow?
They plant them really intensively. They actually plant them more densely than you would out in a regular field because they're growing in this very controlled environment.
Okay. So something that caught my attention was the restaurants are planning to pick fresh produce from these greenhouses. How does that work?
Yeah, you can get this stuff, you know, like they're saying, within hours of it coming out of the ground. And so it's just super, super fresh. And this is one of the things, I mean, most of the food that comes to us in where we are in Washington, D.C., most of our produce is shipped to us from across the country in California or, you know, in the other direction down in Florida. So it's been on a truck for a week, maybe, and it loses some flavor. And the food is basically designed to be shipped. It's not designed to taste great. So the chefs are really excited about this kind of thing, that you can get really, really fresh food that you couldn't get from the supermarket. And it's got more flavor. They say it's got more of its nutrition still in it because it hasn't had time to decay. And it just, you know, the chefs just go crazy for this stuff.
What was your feeling talking to people on the ground? Do you think it's something that you know, you'll see more of in Baltimore, and maybe other states would want to pick that up?
Yeah, this was really interesting because there were a number of different angles that the company was going for. They were working on using this abandoned land. They were hiring ex-convicts who don't have a lot of job opportunities. So it has that kind of social benefit. What's missing right now is the profit. The way that they're describing it now is once they get up to size, full size, that the greenhouse that we saw on that abandoned lot was the first of what's going to be, you know, a much bigger project. And they say once that gets off the ground, then they should be profitable. And once it's profitable, then they say they are going to expand to other places in Baltimore and also other cities, because there's a huge demand for this kind of thing now. People want this kind of fresh, locally grown produce. And so the potential is there. We'll see if it's profitable. I mean, these guys are really starting something new. So, you know, if it works, fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Steve Baragona.